There is a heaviness that has no name. It is not sadness. It is not exactly depression. It is not the sharp, frantic energy of anxiety. It is something quieter, something more pervasive. It is the distinct sensation of gravity being turned up slightly higher for you than for everyone else. You wake up, and the weight is already there, pressing down on your chest before your feet even touch the floor. It feels like you are walking through water while everyone else is walking through air. And the most confusing part? If someone asked you what is wrong, you wouldn't have an answer. You look at your life and you see a checklist of good things. You have the job. You have the stability. You have the relationships. Nothing terrible has happened recently. There is no catastrophe to point to. And yet, you feel a profound, ancient exhaustion in your bones that sleep does not touch. You feel like you are carrying a backpack that you cannot take off, filled with rocks you didn't put there. You are functioning, but you are not living. You are enduring, and you have been enduring for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to be weightless. If this resonance is familiar to you, if you feel heavy for no logical reason, please stay. You are not ungrateful. You are not broken. You are carrying something invisible. And today we are going to open the backpack. Let us observe the way you move through the world, because your behavior is a study in invisible labor. From the outside, you are the picture of efficiency. You are the person who remembers birthdays. You are the one who anticipates the problems in a project 3 weeks before they happen. You are the one who checks the locks, checks the bank account, checks the emotional temperature of the room. You are constantly on. But inside, there is a disconnect. You move through your days with a sense of detachment, as if you are watching yourself live rather than actually inhabiting your body. You smile when you are supposed to smile. You laugh when the joke is told. But the joy doesn't seem to reach your core. It stops somewhere in your throat. You often feel a strange sense of guilt whenever you sit down to do nothing. If there is a free moment, your brain immediately scans for a task. I should be doing laundry. I should be answering that email. I should be reading something productive. The idea of rest feels dangerous to you. Feels like stagnation. It feels like if you stop moving, the heaviness will catch up to you and crush you. So you keep moving. You fill the silence with podcasts, with music, with work, with scrolling. You are terrified of the silence because in the silence, the questions come. Is this it? Why am I so tired? Why does everything feel so hard? You have become a master of the phrase, I'm fine. But when you say it, you aren't lying to deceive others. You are lying to convince yourself. You minimize your own pain because you compare it to the suffering of others and decide yours isn't bad enough to count. You think, I have a roof over my head. I have food. I shouldn't feel this way. You invalidate your own heaviness because you cannot find a tragic origin story for it. You think that because you didn't experience a singular catastrophic event, you have no right to feel traumatized. You have normalized the feeling of dragging yourself through the day. You assume everyone feels this resistance, this friction against existence. You assume adulthood is just supposed to feel this hard. You find yourself getting irritated by small things. The sound of someone chewing, a slow internet connection, a minor change in plans. This irritation confuses you because you are usually so patient. But this isn't anger. It is the sound of a system at capacity. You are operating with zero margin. Your emotional buffer is gone. You are like a cup filled to the very brim. Even a single drop more causes you to spill over. And when you do spill over, you punish yourself for it. You berate yourself for not being stronger, for not having more patience. You double down on control. You make more lists. You set stricter rules for yourself. You try to discipline the heaviness away. You treat your exhaustion as a character flaw, a sign of laziness or weakness that needs to be engineered out of your system. You are constantly trying to optimize a machine that is desperately trying to shut down for maintenance. You are dragging a body that wants to rest and a mind that refuses to let it. Now, we must shift our perspective. We must stop looking at your life through the lens of logic and start looking at it through the lens of the nervous system. The heaviness you feel is not a defect. It is data. It is somatic evidence of a burden you have likely been carrying since before you had the vocabulary to describe it. This weight is not about what is happening now. It is about what never stopped happening then. You are likely experiencing the cumulative weight of undefined responsibility. This often starts in childhood, not with abuse but with absence. Perhaps you grew up in a home where everything looked fine on paper, but the emotional connection was thin, fragile, or conditional. Maybe you had parents who were physically present but emotionally preoccupied, worried about money, worried about their own relationship, or simply incapable of deep attunement. In that environment, you learned a very specific silent lesson. I am responsible for the atmosphere. You learned to read the room before you entered it. You learned to shrink your needs so you wouldn't add stress to an already stressed system. You became a low-maintenance child. You learned that being good meant being invisible, being helpful, being quiet. You absorbed the unspoken anxiety of your caregivers. You carried their unexpressed emotions. If your mother was sad but pretending to be happy, you felt the sadness for her. If your father was angry but suppressing it, you carried the tension in your own shoulders. You became a vessel for the family's unprocessed shadow. This is why life feels heavy now. You are still doing it. You are walking into every room, every meeting, every relationship, and you are unconsciously scanning for what needs to be carried. You are picking up other people's anxiety, their expectations, their unspoken needs, and you are putting them in your backpack. You don't even know you are doing it. It is automatic. It is a survival reflex. You believe, deep in your subconscious, that if you do not hold everything together, the world will collapse. You believe that you are the linchpin. This is a form of grandiose responsibility born from a child's magical thinking. A child thinks, if I am good enough, they will be happy. If I am quiet enough, they won't fight. You are still operating on that software. The heaviness is also the weight of your own unlived life. It is the accumulation of every impulse you suppressed, every no you swallowed, every tear you held back, every time you chose safety over authenticity. It is the sheer mass of your own abandoned self. You have spent decades pruning yourself to fit into the shapes required by others. You have cut off parts of your personality that were deemed too much, too loud, too sensitive, too needy, too ambitious. Those parts didn't disappear. They are still there, dead weight in your psyche, dragging behind you. Furthermore, this heaviness comes from a state of chronic vigilance. Your nervous system is stuck in a functional freeze or a flight response that has been running in the background for years. Imagine a computer running a massive, complex program in the background that uses 90% of the CPU, while you try to use a word processor in the foreground. The typing is slow. The cursor lags. Everything feels difficult. That background program is your surveillance system. You are constantly monitoring for danger, for rejection, for failure. You are never truly safe. You are only ever managing risk. This requires an immense amount of metabolic energy. You are tired because you are working 24 hours a day, even when you are sleeping. You are guarding a fortress that no one is attacking anymore. The war is over, but your body is still in the trenches, waiting for the next shell to drop. You have confused peace with numbness. You think that because you aren't panicking, you are relaxed. But you aren't relaxed. You are braced. You are holding your breath. And holding your breath for 20 years makes everything, even a simple conversation, even a grocery run, feel like lifting a boulder. You are exhausted because you are holding up a shield against a world you perceive as fundamentally demanding and critical. You feel heavy because you are carrying the armor of a warrior in a garden. You are prepared for a battle that is not happening, so the weight of the armor itself becomes the enemy. We need to stop calling this stress or burnout. Those words are too small. They imply that if you just took a vacation or managed your time better, the problem would vanish. But you know that isn't true. You have taken the vacation, and the heaviness came with you in your suitcase. We need to name the specific psychological architecture you have built. You are living under the crushing weight of structural hyperindependence and emotional debt. Let's dismantle structural hyperindependence first. This is not the healthy independence of an adult who pays their own bills. This is a trauma response. It is the deep-seated belief that dependency is dangerous. Somewhere along the line, You learned that relying on others resulted in disappointment, chaos, or leverage being used against you. So, you decided to become a closed system. You became your own ecosystem. You do not ask for help because asking for help feels like an admission of defeat. It feels like handing someone a loaded gun. This adaptation creates a terrifying solitude. You are surrounded by people, yet you are completely alone in your experience of life because you never let anyone see the struggle. You present the finished product, never the messy process. This means no one can actually support you because you never give them the entry point to do so. You are carrying 100% of the load because you have barred the doors to anyone who might offer to lift a corner of it. You are lonely, not because you are unloved, but because you are unreachable. You are trapped behind the wall of your own competence. The second component is emotional debt. Think of your emotions like a financial system. Every time you swallow your anger, every time you suppress your sadness to keep the peace, every time you force a smile when you want to scream, you are paying with a credit card. You are deferring the payment. You think, I'll deal with this later, but later never comes. You have been deferring these payments for decades. The heaviness you feel now is the interest compounding. It is the backlog of thousands of unexpressed moments. Your body is holding on to the grief of the 7-year-old who wasn't heard, the anxiety of the 15-year-old who had to be perfect, the exhaustion of the 25-year-old who worked too hard to prove their worth. The body keeps the score, and right now your body is presenting you with the bill. This heaviness is essentially a massive accumulation of undigested life. You have swallowed so much reality without processing it that you are now emotionally constipated. Finally, you are suffering from role self-fusion. You have forgotten who you are outside of what you do for people. You have merged completely with your function. You are the strong one, the smart one, the reliable one. These are roles, not identities. But because you have played them for so long, you don't know who exists underneath them. The heaviness comes from the immense effort it takes to maintain a character that is no longer authentic to you. It takes energy to act. It takes energy to wear a mask. When you are young, the mask is light. But as you age, the mask gets heavier. It starts to eat into your skin. You are tired because you are performing a play that ended years ago, but you are still on stage, reciting lines to an empty theater, terrified that if you walk off stage, you will cease to exist. So what do we do with this? We do not fix it today. We do not offer you a 5-step plan to happiness. That would be insulting to the magnitude of what you are carrying. Instead, we offer you a permission slip. You are allowed to put the backpack down. Just for a moment. You are allowed to admit that it is heavy. You are allowed to say, I am not fine. And let that sentence hang in the air without rushing to clean it up with, but I'll be okay. The path forward is not about becoming stronger. You are already too strong. Your strength is the problem. It is the wall keeping you isolated. The path forward is about becoming softer. It is about metabolizing the backlog. It is about risking the vulnerability of being useless for a while. Imagine, just for a second, what would happen if you stopped holding up the sky. Imagine if you let a plate drop. Imagine if you said no without an excuse. Imagine if you told someone, I am really struggling right now, and just let them look at you. The world would not end. The sun would still rise. The people who love you for you, not for your utility, would step closer. The ones who only love your utility would fall away, and that, too, would be a relief. You have spent your life adapting to the temperature of the room. It is time to set your own temperature. It is time to stop being the thermostat for everyone else. The heaviness is a signal. It is your soul pulling on your sleeve, whispering, this is too much. We cannot do this anymore. We need to go home. Listen to it. The heaviness is not your enemy. It is your anchor trying to stop you from drifting further away from yourself. It is asking you to stop. So stop. Breathe. You are not a machine. You are a human being, and you are allowed to be tired. I want to leave you with a question. Not a task. Not a to-do list item. A question to sit with in the dark. If you stopped being the strong one today, who would you be tomorrow? Think about it. Write it down if you dare. Or just let it echo.